Okay, guys, so for this section, I'm going to talk a little bit about how to coach your athlete from a strategy standpoint. So they're comfortable with exactly what exactly their role is and what they're supposed to be doing and how they figure out what shot that they're going to try and attempt for each time. So a good way to just kind of start off with is get your athlete also used to throwing at the polina. Again, it's a totally different weight than the bocce ball. So in this case, Walker, you're going to make sure that you roll the bocce ball out there. And again, it has to be in between the green and white flags. All right, so that's good. Now, the other thing we want to teach our athletes is that you'll notice, and we have some athletes that are really, really good and some unified teams that are really, really good about this as well. They know that they're really good when the polina is short, and they know that they can play better than anybody. So if they control the polina, they always want to try and roll it so it's just past that center line. We've got some teams that feel like they're way better when they're long. So they talk about that ahead of time, and they want to make sure when they roll the polina out, they roll it to the distance that they're most comfortable at and not more comfortable for the other team. All right. So when we're coaching, Walker, I'm going to ask you to get one of your bocce balls. All right. So when we're coaching, one of the ways that we're going to execute this is that we're going to say to our athlete, we're going to say, we want them to get thinking about strategy. Okay. So what we're going to say is, Walker, my first question to you is going to be, what do you want to do? All right. So as far as that, what that question means is, strategy wise, they want to, in most cases, it's going to be, well, I just want to roll my bocce ball as close to the polina as possible. But in some cases, it might be like the move that Walker did in the previous frame that we showed you guys, where Walker actually knocked my bocce ball out of the way, which means he had to put a little more energy into it. Okay. But we want our athletes to start thinking about what strategically they want to do every time they step onto the court. So in this case, Walker, the polina is just rolled out there. So I'm just going to ask you, what do you want to do?
I want to land as close as I can to it and maybe in front to make it harder for the next person.
All right, so I'm going to repeat that just because I know from a sound standpoint, Walker said he wants to roll his bocce ball as close as he possibly can to the polina, but also from a strategic standpoint, which is something that we really want you guys to think about, he wants to roll it just a little bit shorter than the polina so that if it's a successful throw, it's going to actually block the other team from being able to have straight access to the polina. So, all right, Walker, so that's great. So now my next question to Walker is actually going to be, okay, Walker, where do you want to stand? Because again, we've got 12 feet to work with. So I'm going to ask you, where do you want to stand, Walker?
Sure, I know my balls tend to hang left.
Okay.
So maybe a little to the right to compensate.
All right, so what Walker basically says he has a tendency to have his bocce balls go a little bit left. So he's going to try and go a little bit to the right. We'll see if that works out for him, but that's okay. A decent strategy. So now that's step 2. Now, the third thing that you always want to remind your athlete is, okay, Walker, I want you to kind of get ready for your throw, but don't throw it. Just get ready for your throw. All right? So now, Walker, are you going to take a step?
Yes.
You are going to take a step. All right. So Walker says he's going to take a step, which is fine. So he stepped back from the foul line. So he's not going to step over the foul line. That's good. All right. The other thing I really want to see is we're going to remind our athletes, Walker, are your eyes on the target? Okay. I want you to spread your feet out just a little bit so that they're about shoulder width. There we go. I want to make sure that you're centered on the target. Okay. So is your body facing the target? Are your feet facing the target? All right, so I want you to do that all the way through. And the last thing you're going to have you talk to your athlete about is you're going to remind them to follow through to the target, okay? So 4 steps. First step, we're asking the athlete, what do you want to do? Second step is we're asking the athlete, where do they want to stand? If their answer is not a great strategic answer, that's where we can work with them and coach them. Third thing is we want to make sure that they're lined up properly. And the fourth thing is a reminder that we want them to follow through to the target. All right, so Walker, go ahead and roll your ball. Very nice. All right. Now, Walker did me a favor and he had a nice follow through and he showed me that he had a nice follow through. A lot of times your athletes are going to do that quickly and move their hand away, but if we can get them used to keeping their follow through out there, it's really helpful for us as coaches to see what direction, where their arm is going. It's going to give us a better idea of if they're going left or right, why that might be. All right. So next step is Walker, I'm going to have you get the second ball. And then we would start this again. And again, I want to say, okay, Walker, what do you want to do?
Same thing as before, since I threw it a little further, and then maybe go a little bit toward the side because I threw it a little.
All right, so Walker's got the same strategy. Again, he's got an open court to work with in this situation, and he's going to go a little bit to the right in certain cases. Now, I want to talk about this real quick. So Walker is going to adjust where he is on the court to adjust for his ball going left. There's another option to this, and for those of you bowlers out there, you're going to understand what this is too. So it doesn't just have to be sliding this way. The other option is also turning your body a little bit this way. So in other words, if I know I always go left, I can always turn my body a little bit right to compensate for that. That would be the other option as well. All right, Walker. So same thing. Are you lined up? Is your body lined up? All right. And reminder, I want you to follow through to the target. All right. Now Walker's a little too strong for his own good, but we already know that. So those are the types of things that we would work on. So again, 4-step process every time we're working with our athletes. Okay. The first thing we want to ask them is, what do you want to do from a strategic standpoint? Whether it is you want to do a point, in other words, you want to roll that ball in nice and close to the polina, or whether you want to hit another ball away, whatever your strategy is. Number two, where do you want to stand? There are certain cases where there are bocce balls that are going to be blocking your access to the polina, or different angles might be needed for you to be able to have access to the polina. So where you stand is important. So always identifying those angles is critical. That's step two. Step three is making sure that your athlete is lined up. And again, when I say lined up to the target, again, that's feet, that's torso, that's eyeballs right on the target. And the final thing, as a reminder again, is to always follow through right to your target. We'd like to see that more flat hand so that we know we're not twisting the ball.